Zhoushan, China. In 2018, Boeing did something that would have been considered treason a generation ago. They opened their first assembly plant on Chinese soil to build the 737, the very aircraft that made them the world's aerospace king. But while the ribbons were being cut, every executive in that boardroom knew the truth. They were being watched. For 10 years, Western intelligence has screamed about systematic espionage and intellectual property theft. Every process is being documented. Every secret is being studied. Boeing's response? They opened a second facility. Airbus? They're already building entire planes from scratch in Tianjin. This isn't an accident. It's a billion-dollar gamble approved by the smartest minds on the planet. Why risk a century of dominance for a country trying to destroy your duopoly? Follow the money. By 2035, over 1 billion Chinese travelers will take to the skies. That's more than the entire population of Europe. Boeing estimates China needs 8,700 new planes.
Because modern aerospace dominance isn't forged in wind tunnels alone. It's forged on factory floors, in scheduling algorithms, in supplier negotiations, in crisis management, in learning how to ship a jet every single day without collapsing under your own complexity. That's the real technology transfer, and China is absorbing all of it. While Boeing battles internal fractures, whistleblowers, production slowdowns, regulatory distrust, China is doing something far more patient. They're watching, logging, scaling quietly. The C919 doesn't need to beat the 737 today. It only needs to survive long enough to evolve. And it will, because the real weapon isn't the aircraft. It's the ecosystem. Once airlines commit, everything follows. Training pipelines, maintenance contracts, spare parts logistics, financing structures, political alignment. An aircraft program doesn't just sell jets. It locks in decades of dependency. China understands this better than anyone. That's why domestic orders matter more than global headlines. When thousands of C919s are pre-ordered by state-backed carriers, it guarantees volume. And volume guarantees improvement. Every production run reduces defects. Every iteration tightens margins. Every delay becomes a data point instead of a disaster. Meanwhile, Boeing and Airbus are fighting yesterday's wars.
Zhoushan was never just a factory. It was a signal. A signal that the rules of global aerospace had quietly changed. For decades, Boeing and Airbus operated like sovereign powers. Their factories were fortresses. Their engineering processes were guarded like nuclear secrets, and their dominance was unquestioned. No rival had ever cracked the code of large-scale commercial aircraft manufacturing without decades of pain, failure, and collapse. China didn't want to wait decades, so instead of breaking in, they invited the masters inside. The Zhoushan Completion Center didn't arrive by accident. It arrived through leverage. China understood something the West underestimated. Aerospace isn't just about innovation, it's about access. And access in the world's fastest-growing aviation market is everything. Every fuselage that rolls through those hangars is more than aluminum and wiring. It's a lesson, a live demonstration of tolerances, workflows, quality checks, logistics choreography. This is not reverse engineering, it's apprenticeship at scale. And unlike software or consumer tech, aerospace has one bottleneck you cannot shortcut: repetition. You don't learn how to build planes by designing one. You learn by building thousands. That's the gate Boeing and Airbus unknowingly unlocked. The West still tells itself a comforting story that China can copy parts, but not culture, that it can imitate components, but not mastery, that the intangibles of aerospace will always remain out of reach. That belief is dangerously outdated. Meanwhile, Boeing and Airbus are fighting yesterday's wars. They are defending a duopoly built for a world that no longer exists, a world where globalization was frictionless, supply chains were neutral, and markets didn't come with ideological strings attached. That world is gone. Now, production itself is geopolitical leverage. By placing critical manufacturing capacity inside China, Airbus has created strategic exposure on a scale rarely seen outside energy or semiconductors.
These aren't just factories, they're pressure points. In any future confrontation, China doesn't need sanctions. It already holds the choke valves. Rare earths, subassemblies, skilled labor pools, regulatory approvals, everything can be slowed, reviewed, or reinterpreted overnight. And the West knows it. That's the part no executive says out loud. The industry is locked into a dependency loop. To stay competitive today, it must deepen exposure tomorrow. Pull back and you lose market share instantly. Stay and you accelerate your own replacement. There is no clean exit. COMAC doesn't need global dominance to win. It only needs regional control. If China, Southeast Asia, Africa, and parts of the Middle East standardize on Chinese aircraft, the economics shift permanently. Western manufacturers become exporters, fighting for leftovers instead of gatekeepers controlling the skies. By the late 2020s, production targets aren't about prestige, they're about inevitability. 200 jets per year isn't just scale, it's normalization. It's proof to regulators, airlines, and investors that China has crossed the point of no return.
Zhoushan, China. In 2018, Boeing did something that would have been considered treason a generation ago. They opened their first assembly plant on Chinese soil to build the 737, the very aircraft that made them the world's aerospace king. But while the ribbons were being cut, every executive in that boardroom knew the truth. They were being watched. For 10 years, Western intelligence has screamed about systematic espionage and intellectual property theft. Every process is being documented. Every secret is being studied. Boeing's response? They opened a second facility. Airbus? They're already building entire planes from scratch in Tianjin. This isn't an accident. It's a billion-dollar gamble approved by the smartest minds on the planet. Why risk a century of dominance for a country trying to destroy your duopoly? Follow the money. By 2035, over 1 billion Chinese travelers will take to the skies. That's more than the entire population of Europe. Boeing estimates China needs 8,700 new planes by 2040. It's a $1 trillion market they can't afford to lose. But in China, market access has a price. You don't just sell planes, you train your replacement. Meet the COMAC C919. It's China's direct shot at the crown. While critics say China lags in engine technology, Boeing and Airbus are handing them the most valuable secret of all, mass production. We are literally providing a masterclass in how to manage a global supply chain at scale. We are teaching our rivals exactly how to defeat us. By 2040, we may look back at these factories not as business expansions, but as the classrooms where Western dominance went to die. Boeing and Airbus aren't making a choice. They're trapped in a system that forces them to sacrifice their long-term survival for short-term market share. Welcome to the billion-dollar trap.